Peace. What's going on, family? It's your guy, Bora, the Lucky Libra, and thank you for tuning in to another episode, all right? As y'all can see by the title, we picking up Signs Through the Houses series, and we picking it up with Gemini in the third house, all right? Shout out to my Aries risings, okay? So y'all can make sure to tap into my website to connect with me on a one-on-one level. Y'all can tap into the Patreon where I'm uploading every Tuesday, Thursday, getting into live streams every Sunday and more. But without further ado, let's get right into it. That whole spin with the snap, that was lame. I don't know where that came from. I don't know. I thought I was in the Temptations or something. But anyways, boom. Let's get into it. So, third house, what does the third house deal with? Familiar surroundings, local environment, people, places, and things in our local environment, experiences as an adolescent, all right? Our neighbors, our emphasis on siblings, information that we've learned, what we've learned early in life. I'm all up in the camera. I was all up in the camera. Let me back up. All right. I'm just trying to give y'all the real spill on these energies. You feel me? The third house is dealing with what the energies I see in your third house is letting me is giving me a whole, a picture of what you experiencing growing up. All right. The environment you was growing up. How we became product of our environments. Why? Because this house ends up influencing how we communicate. So the third house is necessarily your local environment, everything that's familiar to you, all right? And depending on, third house is the air house. Air house deal with relationships. So, excuse me, guys. So, it's pretty late right now, so that's why I'm trying to stay active. I'm trying to stay giddy, guys. It's like 4 a.m. in the morning right now, so I'm really just trying to keep my energy up right now to get through this series all at once, all right? So, the third house necessarily deals with everything that we're familiar with, and we become product of our environments because since it's an air house and it deals with our, the relationships that we first develop with people in our local environment, with our siblings, it starts to influence how we communicate and take that communication method into the 7th and 11th house, the other air houses, right? So depending on what signs and planets you have in here, show me a whole lot about what you're experiencing in this house. So you got Gemini in the third house, all right? It's most likely my Aries risings. Okay, this could be my Taurus risings depending on intercepted houses. It could be my Pisces risings depending on intercepted houses. But nonetheless, you got Gemini in here. Gemini is home here. So Gemini is mutable air ruled by Mercury. Great place to have Gemini. Why? Because when it comes into your familiar surroundings, when it comes into your local environment, you're very curious here. You're really you're real intuitive and understanding when it comes to what's going on in your environment. You're able to pick up on a lot of things that's being hidden from you, from your family. Situations within your family, distant relatives, the relationship between your parents, siblings. You're able to understand things at a young age if they was trying to hide things from you. You pick up context clues quick here. Gemini knows how to start communicating, based off of certain context clues here. Could start probably using bad words at an early age with Gemini in the goddamn third house, all right? Because why? You got Mercury ruling your third house. So it's a great place to have a Mercury influence. Mercury's going to be real curious on how it should deal with words, communicating, relating to others, interacting with others, dealing with different communication methods with others. Very critical of their relationships here. Gemini in the third house, these individuals could switch up their forms of communication based off of how much they've seen other deal with different forms of communication, possible manipulation, gossip, hidden agendas, telling secrets, telling them information, giving them awareness about certain things. Gemini is the most mutable, not the most mutable, but it's the most flexible air sign because it's mutable air. All the mutable signs are the most flexible of their element. All right, so Sag most flexible of fire, Pisces most flexible of water, Virgo most flexible of earth, Gemini most flexible of air. So they're able to adapt to so many different ways that other people communicate and express themselves. So this starts to give them energies to start to pick up early in the local environment based off situations, circumstances with their friend, circumstances at school, circumstances in the neighborhood, circumstances with their siblings. And they start to understand like, yo, I could jump into different pockets when I'm communicating with others. I don't have to communicate with everybody the same way. So you got to make sure Gemini in the third house, you start to use your power for good here, and you don't start to, get a little manipulated because the way you get a little savvy with the way you communicate here. You know how to articulate yourself to certain individuals here. You kind of know how to start. Playing with people's minds here, playing mind games, Gemini in the third house. Okay. So it gets real intuitive when it comes to communicating with others in this house. You may have a lot going on. Gemini is dealing with a lot of interactions. Is dealing with a lot. Dealing with the exchange of thoughts. Mercury communicates. Mercury is curious. All right. So having Gemini in the third house, you may be dealing with a lot in your local neighborhood. You know a lot of people. You the hood Taurus. AKA if the foreign exchange student come to school, you the one that telling them like, yo, that's the bully right there. Yo, don't sit at that table over there. Or like, yo, don't date that girl. She done messed with everybody in the school. Or yo, that store right there, that's the Crip store. Don't go to that store. They gonna you getting robbed every time. And now every time you go to school in the morning, they gonna be asking you, yo, what's up? Can I let me hold 5 cash. And now it's your ass. But, you know, Gemini in the third house, they start to get very familiar with everything in the environment to the point that not only do they end up knowing a lot of people in this third house a lot of the time, it's very likely to know a lot of people in the third house a lot of time. Even may even be possible to gain some popularity here because you know so much people. But with Gemini in this house, you know so much people here that you're able to keep others on a one-up in this house. So you end up being, like I said, the hood Taurus. You end up being the one that when somebody new moves to the neighborhood, somebody new comes to school, you could show them the ropes because your Gemini and Mercury in the third house already got you understanding and knowing everybody. But that's the thing. Gemini in this house, Mercury in the house can be very critical of their relationships, overthink things with their relationships because it's coming from such an analytical influence when it comes to their local environment, when it comes to what surrounds it. Shit. Gemini and Mercury, we know wherever Mercury influences that, you can overthink. So just having Gemini in the third house, you guys can be a little paranoid, slightly, slightly paranoid, and the influence to overthink when it comes to your surroundings, who surrounds you, what's in your surroundings. Always being, if y'all dealing with Aries risings, you know, a lot of Aries risings, they're like that. Or can have a lot of Gemini in the third house rules siblings. You can have a lot of siblings here. You can have a lot of siblings here and a lot of responsibilities with your siblings, even if you don't got a lot of siblings. A lot of responsibilities with your distant relatives and siblings and whatnot a lot of time here. A lot. Shit. Gemini in the third house could be real. Your siblings could deal with all forms of invasion of goddamn privacy. All right? But yeah, man, Gemini in that third house starts to pick up a whole lot with that Mercury influence on how to communicate with others. So the way y'all be influenced to communicate with others, y'all could jump into so many different pockets. Y'all entertain so many different shit. Sometimes y'all psych yourselves up and look a little shaky in relationships, friendships, because y'all start to kind of show y'all hand when it comes to, you know, it's almost like the way that y'all deal with people sometimes. Because y'all overthink dealing with relationships and certain individuals, or how you're about to interact with certain individuals, it's almost like the other party could pick up that you're strategizing too much. So you're going to be real strategical overall, period. Gemini in the third house when you're dealing with interacting with others, just based off of what you experience, what you learn. All right, seeing how other people deal with certain forms of manipulation or different forms of communication, or, you know, learn. Like, it could be to the point, like, you really have friends that know how to talk to their parents to know how to get out the house this weekend. Or, like, no, I'm going to just tell my parents this and that. And so you start adapting shit like, wait, hold on. Maybe if I tell my mom I'm just going to go to the library on Saturday, whatever, maybe I'll be able to. So, like, you start to scheme a little bit. You start to be, or catch the influence to scheme. So, you know, you gotta be aware of that, but you're definitely gonna be a chameleon when it comes to your forms of communication, and definitely can get lost in your relationships. You know, so much people forget names. Gemini deal with so many thoughts, so it could start. Gemini deal with a little bit of a forgetful energy because it probably deals with the most thoughts in the zodiac. So you could probably encounter so much relationships, know so much people, but only remember, you the type to, I only remember faces, not the names, man. I remember the faces though. You feel me? So that's what we got going on with Gemini in the third house, family. Y'all make sure to tap into my Patreon where I'm uploading every Tuesday and Thursday, and live streams every Sunday, all right, and more. Make sure to tap into my website to connect one-on-one with the Lucky Libra. It's late, y'all. It's damn near 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm trying to beat the sun. Before I wake up and get through this series, y'all, all right, guys? But for the most part, y'all already know how to get in touch. Next episode, we picking it up with Cancer in the third house. All right, until then, family, peace.